Senator Reynolds.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. I too rise to speak on this in support of this urgency motion. Colleagues, in 1949, George Orwell wrote the dystopian classic 1984, and many generations of students since then have studied this in their English classes. And I think there is nothing that distinguishes those opposite, both the Greens and Labor, from those on this side of the chamber, is our respective responses to this book. Those opposite, clearly by this bill, have read 1984 and thought at the time, wow, what a great system this is. Those on this side of the chamber were horrified and have continued to be horrified by the concept of the think pole, who control thoughts, free speech and actions on behalf of Big Brother. And what this piece of legislation that the Labor Party has put forward is not just 1, 2, 10 or 100 Winston Smiths who sit there in the bureaucracy rewriting history according to the prevailing political party's truth, in that case Big Brother. And poor Mr Smith worked in the records department of the Ministry for Truth, and he not only had to rewrite history, but he also had to identify people to ghost, or, as we call it today, to cancel, the cancel culture. So while it is humiliating for this government to this morning have the committee report tabled and then exactly 5 seconds later withdraw this incomprehensibly bad, well, actually it's not incomprehensible because it's one of a long line of appalling legislation this government has tried to ram through this place. But, as other speakers have said, this should be withdrawn permanently. Now, and it's not just those on this side of the chamber. All of us have been flooded with Australians from all around the nation who have spoken up against this bill. And one would have to wonder, if this bill had passed, what the thought police and the Winston Smiths of the Labor Party would do to people who had expressed their point of view about this very legislation itself. Now, no minister and no bureaucrat has monopoly on truth, and we have debated this issue many times in this chamber and in this place about what constitutes political truth. And the last Labor speaker, I think, did absolutely bell the cat, is that what they think is true and what we think is misinformation, subject to this legislation. You just said it. So, as good as it is that this bill is going, it is not just those opposite that think this way. So for 18 months, since the government spoke about bringing this bill forward, Australians have voiced their concerns. In fact, the government received nearly, I think it was 28,000 submissions against this bill and this gagging of free speech. Now, the Human Rights Commission itself sent forward a submission, and they warned that this bill needs to be recognised that information may be politically opportunistically labelled as misinformation or disinformation to delegitimise alternative opinions and to limit open discussion about issues of public importance. So I'm so happy that we fought to have this bill withdrawn.